match. Let's hand it off to Freak.
Yes.
Hello, I'm here with Pobelter. Crushing it so far in the new season. Immortals, you guys came together so strongly. What a dominant win. Tell me what it's been like, just sort of a bunch of new teammates and this team just coming together so quickly.
Well, I don't know what else to say other than, you know, it's really good. Like, everyone's working together really well. Everyone's really experienced on how to play as a team, has a good attitude, and of course, everyone is really good. So far, it's been excellent.
Can you contrast any of this with your previous teams? Of course, you're very good on CLG. You had some other teams that had maybe less success. Like, what is it that's made Immortals start so strong so quickly?
I guess everyone is willing to compromise for each other and sort of sacrifice for each other. And that's kind of hard to find in a lot of players, I think. Like, you know, giving, like maybe making yourself look worse for a teammate to get extra farm or something like that. But we're all on board with that.
And I gotta say, even though this team, sort of the headliners, I feel like would have been Huni and Reignover coming over from Fnatic, right? World Championship semifinalists. Like, you were maybe one of the less noticeable players on CLG. Wild Turtle got like outright flamed on TSM, but you guys are like, I mean, like, Turtle's like going super ham all the time and it's working. Like, you're doing really well for yourself. Like, what is it that's allowed like you as well as the rest of these individual players to like really shine?
Well, me, I think I'm just, you know, trying to keep it solid. But in terms of Turtle, I think that he's a guy that really feeds off positive energy from his teammates. And so if his teammates are boosting him up, telling him that, you know, he's a great player, then he'll show that in game.
Ads look great for you guys. So tell me, what are you already set your sights on first place? You guys already like going to Worlds? Is this just gonna, you know, like 36-0 the dream? Is this what's gonna happen for Immortals here? Well,
I said I would be happy with at least second place, but then Huni and Reignover were like, hell no, we got 18-0 in Europe. We don't even want to lose a game in playoffs this time. So
I mean, it's an easier LCS being an NA. Like, this should be easy for them, right?
Yep.
All right, Powelter, help me flaming NA. Thank you very much, man. Congrats on the win. Thank you so much for your time. And we're gonna send it over to the analyst desk.
Want to know they're on their way to that 18-0 and possibly a perfect record through the playoffs, but let's slow our roll here and maybe analyze this game, which was a commanding victory by Immortals here. What I want to get into, though, was the fact that this Cho'Gath came out as the last pick. Yeah. Never in my life did I think I was going to see Cho'Gath picked up, and yet extraordinarily effective against the likes of Ryze and MF.
Just a really timely pick. It punishes not just the Ryze, but the entire draft, which is exactly what you want out of your last pick. It's a champion Huni has played before as well, so it was kind of the best of both worlds for Immortals. Huni has typically had a robust yet small champion pool, and this was kind of, out of the entire pool of every champion in League of Legends, like the best pick in this situation. So it's really convenient that it fit in that pool.
It really was. I was sitting there going, this is the game that if you played it in solo queue afterwards, you'd be like, who plays Cho'Gath still? Yeah. Like, what? It's so good, and he's played it against the Ryze. This is a situational pick. He played it against Ryze in the EU LCS, and it works against Echo. Echo dives in, silence, blow him up.
Traditionally, why it's so good, the silence is incredibly effective against Ryze because of his ultimate, against MF because of the ultimate, even against Echo because he's so reliant on getting that. Even against Lee Sin, even though he couldn't land the silence properly during the insec and he got kicked back a few times, technically if he played that perfectly, he would have been able to block that as well. And it just comboed so well with the rest of their damage.
Right, Rupture through Brahm's shield. I mean, he basically had all of the tools to deal with this comp that C9 built. So to a degree, it's hard to condemn Cloud9 if they're not aware of the fact that this Cho'Gath is going to come out as the last pick against their team. Now getting into the game, though, we saw the early 2 turret trades by both teams, and yet somehow not too far beyond that point, we saw Immortals up. Reignover, 20 CS over Rush. We saw Wild Turtle at 13 minutes, 50 CS, 130 over the 81 of Sneaky. And that's kind of where these gold differentials came from all of a sudden.
For the Wild Turtle point, that was the big surprising one because Reignover, that's just the Reignover special. He did that in like every game over in Europe somehow. He'd always get, he had by far the largest CS differential over his opponent jungler at 20 minutes. But the Wild Turtle thing showed to me really good execution of lane swapping from Immortals, but that CS discrepancy doesn't happen unless the other team is making failures.
Yeah, and what I also looked at when I saw this composition was every time they'd lose a fight, which wasn't very often, they still had the waves shoved in. This team has a ton of wave clear in comparison. Ryze plus Echo on C9 side can't really push it back too easily when you have the likes of Cho'Gath and a Twisted Fate, which has range wave clear and pretty much instantaneous clear. So they're able to walk to lanes, use an ability, then be able to group up again. So they kept doing things like that, which would make it so that when you actually prep the wave and you would win a fight, you'd get more off of it. So I actually really like that from Immortals.
We mentioned during this game that the TSM COG one was like kind of easy for us to break down because there was very cohesive teamwork going on for COG, and you could kind of see where TSM was making their mistakes. Immortals was just everywhere.
Yeah.
Which was pretty impressive. Very quick win.
Right, yeah, an extraordinarily quick win. We did also, though, recognize that the Lee Sin plays, although not effective early, were relatively effective late. If it weren't for a 12K gold difference, we actually might have seen some one fights there for Cloud9. So really quickly, if we did have to break down the Cloud9 play, maybe one or two of their failures, it may have been lack of presence by the Lee Sin early, since he was sacrificing the farm. And then, of course, giving themselves a composition that couldn't really stack up early, and therefore having to concede a lot of objectives.
Yeah, they ended up getting counterpicked as well, though, by the Cho'Gath. And that's the thing, is you can't really expect the Cho'Gath to be locked into your team, and then he just screams all over your team.
Right.
Yeah. Reignover out-jungled Rush early. That hurt the pressure of Lee Sin to be able to impact the lanes, which needed the help. Lee Sin into a Rek'Sai is always dangerous. So.
Yeah, very much so if you're not making plays. Well, keep it tuned right here, because after this, we'll head back onto the Rift for Team Dignitas versus Energy Esports. You're watching the North American LCS coming to you live from Los Angeles, California. Don't go anywhere.
Every game on Gravity, before the game, we would just go like this at the top of our lungs.
Sneaky!
Why? I don't know.
Who made that sound? Bonnie or Sneaky?
That wasn't me.
Really?
Yep.
I don't believe it. It must be
It was
Sneaky.
not me. I would never make such a dumbass sound.
Here for Cloud9. Are they going to get caught, though?
Oh, they're trying to put their foot down.
Oh, juicy.
I don't think it's going to work. There's the scream across the team, and that's going to be Buddy Fufu. Zeke and Adrian have a way to run. They already took down Huni, though, looking pretty good. Balls comes in with the ultimate on, and they try to focus back onto him. Oh. Here's the ultimate from Sneaky.
Rush.
Let's go, Dash side. Ultimate Adrian with a huge play. Pobelzer goes down to Jensen, dives in melee range. He goes down himself. Turtle got 3 in the light slinger, but he can't get the range. And Immortals, the first win of the 2016 spring split over Cloud9.